All right, it is 7 o'clock. We will bring the meeting to order. We'll start out with the Pledge of the American Flag, follow that by a moment of silent reflection. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Roberts, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister. Here. Mr. Hoffman.
Yeah, here.
Mrs. Johns. Here. Mr. Kimmer.
Here.
Mr. Smelter.
Here.
All at present. I'll move into 1.5, that's the minutes of the February 2nd meeting. Again, I apologize for my absence at that meeting. We've had an opportunity to look over those minutes. If we accept as is, I'll accept a motion. If any changes, then we'll. Moved by Ms. Conrad Zangmeister to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Smelter, second the motion. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister.
Yes.
Mr. Smelter.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mrs. Johns. Yes. Mr. Kimmer.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moves us to adjustments to agenda. Mr. Belleville, do we have any?
We do have one adjustment to the agenda. We have a substitute teacher, Tyler McManus, who has been a long-term sub for us this school year. State law requires if someone serves 60 consecutive days in the same spot that you offer them a contract for the remainder of the year. So would like to add that as a new business item 5.25 to approve a long-term substitute teacher contract for Tyler McManus through the end of this school year.
Okay, any questions about that? If not, we entertain a motion to approve the adjustment of the agenda. Mr. Smeltzer?
President.
Okay, Mr. Kimmer. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. John, second the motion. Any discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Mr. Kimmer.
Yes.
Mrs. Johns. Yes. Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Smelter.
Yes.
Motion passed. We'll move into section 2, 2.1, superintendent updates. Mr. Belleville.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Try to keep my comments brief tonight. I know we have a big ball game going on. We'd all like to try to get over there if possible, or so get through this. Really just want to focus on agenda items this evening as part of my comments, and then as we get to any of the new business items, if there are questions, I can answer specific questions as we get to those. First thing you'll notice, couple of resignations, one in particular, Zach Turkowski. Really hate to see him stepping away from the district, but he has an opportunity to help with his family's business. His dad owns a construction company, and they're branching out into the Columbus area, and it's an opportunity for Zach to work alongside his dad, and it's just an opportunity he really couldn't pass up. So he wanted me to share his sincere appreciation for everything the district has done for him, his family, the opportunity provided. He is hopeful that he'll be able to continue coaching with us, so we're hoping that works out, and he'll be able to stay with the football team and the track team. So, and then obviously Kelsey is still here working for us, and they'll still live in the area, is not moving away, just going to help with family business. So we certainly wish him well and thank him for all he's done. We have a leave of absence for Tessa Gossett. There's a chance she'll be able to come back some this year. Tessa's had a medical issue that don't want to dive too far into, but it's good to see her doing well and on the mend, and continue to keep her in our thoughts and prayers. You'll notice transfer and new teacher contracts. First and foremost, We have a new teacher coming on board, Maggie Reed. She couldn't be here this evening. She'll teach math at the high school, teaching Algebra 1 starting next year. Maggie is currently a senior at Illinois State, and she is in the middle of her indoor track season and preparing for outdoor season. And she is extremely excited to get here, and she's very hopeful that she'll find a place on Coach Meyer's staff with cross and track. So she is a distance runner, and anytime you have the opportunity to bring in a high-level educator who's also a D1 athlete and has been for 4 years, that's always a great thing. That you know, they bring another level of expertise and ability to the district. She has a high interest in coaching, and I think that'd be great. But more than anything, she has a fiance who teaches at Lancaster City. She's not from here, but she's moving to the area, and we actually had a family relation of her fiance tell her, you know, you need to reach out to schools in the area, and one of the schools that the family member recommended was Fairfield Union. And whenever you hear people that aren't in our community telling friends and families, hey, if you're moving to the area and you need a teaching job, that's the place you want to apply. That's always great to hear. So she applied, and Mr. DeStadio and I had a preliminary conversation with her, and she just captures you immediately. She has a dedication to just expecting the most out of herself, demanding excellence out of those around her. And I think that's something you see in athletes, and you know, I'll say in distance runners. You see a dedication in people who run long distance, because you have to have that. And she carries that over into her personal life, into her professional life, and I think she is just going to be an amazing addition to our staff. So we're really excited to have her on board. She would have loved to have been here this evening, but we didn't want to ask her to drive from Illinois here just for the board meeting. So, but she's excited to get here. Second hire is Ellie Patterson. She's been our tutor at the middle school. We are going to promote her to classroom teacher. She'll move into 6th grade math, and we're going to transfer Amanda Colby from 6th grade math to 8th grade math. Amanda has a lot of experience teaching Algebra 1 and higher level mathematics, so I think that'll be a great move for us, and that'll be filling the spot that Miss Young is retiring and leaving us at the end of the year. So we're really happy. You know, it's hard to find really good math teachers, and when you're looking for 2 at one time, that, you know, causes some apprehension. We had an incredible applicant pool, and I had some tough choices, but we feel like we ended up in a really good spot, so happy about that. You'll see 2 contract amendments for Nate Horn and Seth Cooperrider, and that's just really a point of clarification that their admin contracts are for 1 year, which would end July 31st. Later this spring, we'll bring contract recommendations for all expiring administrators, teachers, and Nate and Seth would have their second contracts brought to the board for consideration at that point. We have some spring coaches on here, a list of volunteers. As always, just want to, you know, say thank you to those who volunteer and help out. Just do an incredible job, and we couldn't do what we do without all of our volunteers and other coaches. You'll see a slew of educational trips on the agenda. Most of those are normal trips that we take yearly. One in particular, Coach Dupler is wanting to take the softball team to an overnight trip. Pretty prestigious softball tournament that he was able to get us into based on his reputation as a coach and what he's been able to accomplish in the past. The tournament agreed to take us in, and he feels like we can go and compete. It's a very prestigious tournament, a lot of high competition, and he's quite certain we'll have a good showing. So excited for that. And then there's a couple of technology purchases. I would say you can ask Mr. Schaffner about those when we get to them if need be. Again, those are pretty common purchases we do every year, the Chromebooks. And the last two things for me, you'll see a memorandum of agreement with the Education Association. We are making up a snow day, March 20th. That was going to be a professional development day, but we're going to go ahead and bring students in. It's also the end of the third 9 weeks, and by contract, we're supposed to have 2-hour late arrivals at the end of each quarter to allow teachers time to do grading and prepare report cards. Well, since this is a makeup day, we really didn't want to do a 2-hour late arrival on a makeup day, so Mr. Dana and I got together and talked about an MOU to not have the 2-hour late arrival that day. Also, looking to add 2 supplemental positions to the negotiated agreement, and those are for new additions to the district. Well, one new, one not so new. The multimedia class and all of the extra things that we're doing through that class, like state of schools coming up. We're really looking to expand what they're doing, graduation. We're really hopeful we'll be at the stadium this year, and the multimedia class will have the scoreboard up and running with pictures of the seniors on the board as they walk the stage. Also did a lot of work during football season, manning the scoreboard and the video board, those type of things. So the other are our elementary music productions, looking to add a supplemental for that. We haven't had one historically, but we've moved to the point where, for choir and the musical, those type of things, we've added some supplementals over the years. And we have quite a few elementary musical performances, so I felt like it was probably time to address that area as well for all the time spent after school for those productions. And then we have 5 policies. We had a first reading last board meeting, and those are all policies that are required by law. So just updating those with the OSBA recommended language, so can answer questions there as well. So any questions right off the bat? All right, thank you. Oh, one more thing.
Okay.
After the first quarter, 1312 new Lex. Just a quick update.
Good.
All right, we will move on to section 3, recognition of visitors. Did anyone sign in? I assume not.
No, sir.
Okay. So move right on to consent agenda section, workshops and conferences 4.1. Looks like we have one item there. Amy Liquor into the Meta Conference, Columbus 24th, February 24th for $50. Any questions on that item? Now we'll move on to 4.2 financial items.
Okay, 2 items this evening, just our January financial summary and insurance summary. Going to keep this very high level since I'll be doing the forecast later in this meeting, but always I'm happy to answer any questions. So jumping into the financial summary, we are, to be honest, not a lot of changes since we reported through December. So far through revenues, we are down 1% to last year. You'll see that property taxes are slightly down while income taxes are up, so it's helping offset revenues. Expenditures, really almost in line to last year at $15.7 million compared to $15.8 million. As a reminder, we moved to 24 pays versus 26, but you will see that at this time we are in line pay to pay. So that's where, when you look under salaries, we are pretty even. You will see that purchase services has gone up while supplies has gone down. However, when I do get to the forecast, we are starting to see an increase in our supply costs for maintenance. We're just having a lot of fixes and things that need addressed. So you'll see while it looks this way for right now, once we get into the forecast, I will speak to an increase in some of the supply costs. Overall, our cash balance ended the month of January at $10.3 million compared to $20 million last year. However, that was before the transfer that we did at the end of the fiscal year. So feeling like we are in pretty good spot. Any questions on financials? Okay, insurance. Revenue is up 7% to last year at 3.1 million compared to just under 3 million. Our expenditures are at 3.3 million compared to 3 million last January. Claims are now up 3%, so they are improving. And just to kind of put it in perspective, in November, we were up 17%. So we've had a few really good months in claims. So obviously watching that over the next few months, but happy to see that starting to regulate itself. We did end the month at $4 million compared to 3.9 last year. However, we are already $164,000 to the negative, which we did plan, and our fund is going to help fund about $360,000 of costs instead of increasing premiums more than we already did this year. Dental insurance revenue was flat. Expenditures are down 11%. However, I will say we just we're getting some additional expenditures for this month, and they're starting to creep up a little, but we're still in a good spot. We ended January at $275,000. So happy with dental insurance, and it kind of just keeps, I say it every month, it just keeps moving along. So
One question there on expenditures like health insurance.
mhm.
Each year, what do you factor in for a normal increase in claims? I mean, I assume that every year we're going to see claims rise a bit. Is there a
Yeah, industry standard over the past few years has been around 12% as an increase, so we're sitting in a good spot. We do project overall each year, I project a 10% increase as far as the forecast as a placeholder. So we project about an industry average. I'm happy with where claims are sitting right now. I know going even into just this calendar year, we were coming in month after month saying that, we were seeing them rise. So one good month helped us. I'm hoping that's a new trend and it's not just a 1 month, obviously I'll take it. We did see in the month of January, we had quite a large refund from our stop loss program. So that's when we have an individual claim that's over $100,000. We only pay the first $100,000, and then anything after that comes back to us. So we did have a large refund, which obviously helped some of those claim numbers come back. So we'll watch that over the next few months. Hopefully that is a new trend, and we'll know more as the months go on.
10% of what?
The 10% increase, a 10% increase in cost.
Of the-
So,
for
so,
overall, or are you talking about?
so when we look at it from a forecast standpoint, it's what are our overall insurance costs, and it would be an increase of 10%. So claims, admin, anything that would be considered an insurance cost from a medical standpoint, I'm projecting a 10% increase. Now, that's not to say that it's a 10% increase in premiums, because some of that cost could be offset by the balance that we carry, which is what we did this past year. So for example, I had projected a 10% increase. We only increased our premiums on average 4% because we're using our fund balance to help offset what the premium increase could be. Does that make sense? Okay. So each year we project a 10%.
for claims and expenses?
Claims and expenses, so claims and admin, So now, the one thing that we're interested in and one thing that we're watching is year over year, stop loss has continued to increase. Right now, we have our stop loss at $100,000. We look at that every year to say, okay, do we need to take that to 125, 150, meaning that we take on more of the cost up front, and we look at it and we say, okay, how many members would it take to hit that level before we have to increase that? So far, it has made sense to keep that at $100,000 because essentially once you take it to 125, probably will never take that back down. We have been very close the last few years of saying, okay, do we want to take that to 125 or 150?
Has it always been 100?
It's been 100 since
As
I
long-
have been here.
as long as I've
It's-
been here.
Yeah, it's been 100 for quite a while,
Yeah.
so, yeah. I think we did see, when we moved from our old insurance into UHC, that was one thing that we were happy that we could keep. However, right now, in order to keep it at 100, that cost, essentially the cost that UHC pays, and I can go back and look at the exact number, I feel like it went up 30% last year, because it's a per employee per month cost, and that was one of our largest increases last year, so. Any other questions in insurance or the financial piece of it? Okay. That was all I had from a financial standpoint tonight.
All right, any questions on either of those items? If not, we'll need to approve the consent agenda section. I entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mrs. Johns moved to approve. Do I have a second?
Second, Mr. President.
Mr. Kimmer, second the motion. Any further discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer?
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on to new business, 5.1. Motion to approve a resignation of Zachary Turkowski as high school intervention specialist effective in the school year 25-26. Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mr. Smeltzer moved to approve. I'll second that. Any further discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Mr. Smeltzer?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Motion passed. And 5.2, resignation, Campbell, motion to approve the resignation of Jennifer Campbell as Bremen Cook cashier effective February 11th, 2026.
So moved.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister moved to approve. I need a second.
Second, Mr. President.
Mr. Kimmer, second the motion. Any further discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer?
Yes.
Motion passed. 5.3, leave of absence. This is a motion to approve a leave of absence for Tessa Gossip beginning March 2nd, 2026 through the end of the 25-26 school year. Any motion?
I will make the motion.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister moved to approve. I will second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer?
Yes.
Motion passed. 5.4, motion to transfer Amanda Colby from 6th grade math to 8th grade math, Algebra 1, effective the 26-27 school year.
I would move that we approve the transfer.
Ms. Johns moved to approve.
Second.
Mr. Smeltzer, second the motion. Any further discussion? Now, please call the roll.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Motion passed. 5.5, motion to approve a one-year teacher contract for Marguerite Reed as high school math teacher on salary schedule A, bachelor's degree, step 1, beginning the 26-27 school year, pending verification of all application materials. Any motion to approve?
I'd move the motion to approve Margaret Reed.
Mr. Kimmer moved to approve. Do I have a second? Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister, second the motion. Any further discussion? Now, please call the roll.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer?
Yes.
Motion passed. 5.6, motion to approve two-year teacher contract for Elena Patterson as 6th grade math teacher on salary schedule A, bachelor's plus 150 semester hours, step 2, beginning the 26-27 school year, pending verification of all application materials. Need a motion to approve.
I'll move that we approve the 2-year contract for Elena Patterson.
Ms. Jones moved to approve. I will second that. Any further discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer?
Yes.
Motion passed. And 5.7, this is a motion to approve amending the contract for motion of Nathan Horn from maintenance employee to director of maintenance, salary schedule N, step 1, effective February 3rd, 2026 through July 31st, 2026. Mr. Belleville spoke to this one and the next one earlier. Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Ms. Conrad Zingmeister moved to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Smeltzer second the motion. Any further discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister.
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mrs. Johns.
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously. 5.8, similar item, motion to approve amending the contract for promotion of, my computer to update, Seth Cooperrider from
Yeah.
maintenance employee to director of maintenance. Salary schedule in step 1 effective February 3rd, 2026 through July 31st, 2026.
I would move in approving the amended contract for promotion Seth Cooperrider from maintenance employee to director of maintenance.
Okay, Mr. Kimmer's moved to approve. I will second that. Do we have any further discussion? Now, please call the roll.
Mr. Kimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister.
Yes.
Mrs. Johns.
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer.
Yes.
Motion passed. 5.9, motion to approve personal service supplemental contracts as presented. We have 2 names there. Any questions or comments? Not entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Ms. Conrad Zingmeister moved to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Johns, second the motion. Any further discussion or comments? Now, please call the roll.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister.
Yes.
Mrs. Johns.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer.
Yes.
Motion passed. 5.10, motion to approve volunteers as presented. Again, thank you to these 5 for their investment. Cost them money to be volunteers, so entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mr. Smeltzer moved to approve.
Second, Mr. President.
Mr. Kimmer, second the motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Smeltzer.
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer.
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister. Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mrs. Johns.
Yes.
Motion passed. 5.11, motion to approve substitute classified list as presented. Couple highlighted names on that list. Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mrs. Johns moved to approve. I will second that. Any further discussion? Not, please call the roll.
Mrs. Johns.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister.
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer.
Yes.
Motion passed. 5.12, motion to approve John Markwood to take Rushville Middle School Junior High Society students to Kings Island, May 15th, 2026. It's been around for many, many years. Need a motion to approve.
I move, Mr. President, we move John Markwood to take the Rushville Middle School junior high students to Kings Island.
Mr. Kimmer has moved to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Johns, second the motion. Any further discussion? Not, please call the roll.
Mr. Kimmer.
Yes.
Mrs. Johns.
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer.
Yes.
Motion passed. And 5.13, motion to approve Jeff Dupler to take the varsity softball team on a 2-day softball tournament in Mansfield, April 17th and 18th, 2026. Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mrs. Johns moved to approve. I have a second. I will second that. Any further discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Mrs. Johns.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister.
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer.
Yes.
Motion passed. This is a long list, folks. We may have to take a break.
Yeah.
We are at item 5.14.
Yes.
Motion to approve Jared Redding to take the boys varsity soccer team to High Northern University for a team camp, June 17th through 19th of 26. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mr. Smeltzer has moved to approve.
Second.
Ms. Conrad Zangmeister, second the motion. Any discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Mr. Smeltzer.
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mrs. Johns.
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer.
Yes.
Motion passed. 5.15, motion to approve Chris Turner to take FFA students to state tractor troubleshooting March 5th and 6th, 2026 in Lima, Ohio.
I'd move, Mr. President, to approve Chris Turner to take the FFA students at this day tractor troubleshooting March 5th and 6th.
All right, Mr. Kimmer's moved to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Conrad Zangmeister, second the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Smelter?
Yes.
Motion passed. 5.16, motion to approve Hannah Penrose to take FFA members to Tour OSU Agriculture Campus and an OSU hockey game March 5th, 2026 in Columbus. Need a motion to
There's-
approve?
So there's,
What's the question?
well, you can do that after the motion, right?
You can ask now.
Oh, I was just wondering, because they're the same dates for two different events, the same FFA, I mean, different FFA students?
Yeah, different FFA students will go. With Mr. Turner, I believe it's only 2 students going.
Yeah, and they're going to Lima.
And then with Miss Penrose, it'll be a much larger group.
Any other questions? If not, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mrs. Conrad Zingmeister moved to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. John, second the motion. Any further discussion or questions? If not, please call the roll.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Smelter?
Yes.
Motion passed. 5.17, motion to approve Mike Miller to take the wrestling team to OHSAA postseason tournament sectional. It's February 27th and 28th at Gallia Academy High School.
We brought this because it's an overnight trip. They have to be there, they'll be there late at night competing, then have to be there very early the next morning for weigh-ins. So for sectionals and districts, they generally stay, and anytime there's an overnight trip, always bring it to the board for consideration.
Where is Gallia?
Galplis down
Down
Galplis.
the river.
Okay.
Down on the river.
Okay.
It'll be about a hour and 20-minute drive or so. So due to by the time they get finished Friday night and drive back, then have to be there the next morning so early for weigh-ins, they would be home to sleep maybe 4 hours.
Yeah.
So,
No, makes sense. All right, need a motion to approve?
I'd move that we approve Mike Miller to take the wrestling team to OHSAA postseason tournament.
Right, Mr. Kimmer has moved to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Smeltzer, second the motion. Any further discussion or questions? Not, please call the roll.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Smelter?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes,
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
motion passed. 5.18, motion to approve Mike Miller take the wrestling team to OHSAA postseason tournament district level, March 6th and 7th at Sam Gallia Academy High School.
this would be pending wrestlers
Advancement.
qualifying
Yeah,
to go.
Sure.
So moved.
Mr. Smeltzer moved to approve. I will second that. Any questions or discussion? Not, please call the roll.
Mr. Smelter?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Motion passed. 5.19. There we go. Motion to approve the IT purchase of Chromebooks with Bloom of Minnesota LLC for $165,000, just a small purchase there. Any questions about the Chromebooks?
Is this somebody new? Have we gotten from?
Yeah, so this is, we've been having some issues with the Dell Chromebooks that we bought the past couple of years.
Okay.
I actually sent 4 Chromebooks back to Dell in the middle of December for them to do some testing to see what's going on, why we've had such a high failure rate, haven't heard back from them yet. But so I've decided to switch to Lenovo, which is what most of the county schools have been using for a few years now. I was more comfortable with Dells, and the Dells in the past have come in pretty, significantly cheaper than some of the other options, so that's what we were going with, but this year I've decided it's time to switch. I was going to switch models anyway. Dell would come out with a new model, so figured it was a good time. This purchase, as I've done in the last couple of years, will come with a 4-year standard warranty, so it'll cover the motherboard failures and that kind of stuff like we've been having. It's not going to cover if a kid smashes it or whatever. But so basically, our investment will be covered for the 4-year life expectancy of the device. One nice thing that Lenovo offers that Dell doesn't is they will hold off on starting that warranty until August. So I can get them ordered. They'll sit in my office until the summer, but they won't be wasting that warranty like we've done with the Dells. So that's nice. Last year, just for comparison, we spent $130,000 roughly on Chromebooks. I expected about $140,000 this year, but due to some supply chain shortages with the expansion of AI, prices on all the devices have gone up. And you'll even, if you see the Dell quote that's in your packet, I mean, it was astronomical compared to some of the other options. So 165 this year, we're going to make it work, but it is considerably higher than I was expecting.
So why is it to do with AI?
Just a shortage of components, RAM,
Oh, okay, got it. Gotcha.
SSDs, things like that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the IT purchase of Chromebooks.
Mrs. Johns moved to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister second the motion. Any further discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer?
Yes.
Motion passed. Item 520, motion to approve the IT purchase of access points through the E-rate program from CDW. Government LLC is presented. Total cost $134,634.81. So this is a purchase that we'll be making through E-rate funding, which is the government subsidized program. And we will get 80% reimbursement for any of that equipment that's installed in our instructional building. So it's not, we don't get reimbursed for like district office and some of those things. But that is a good chunk of, that's where the majority of these access points will go. In the past, and I talked to Courtney, we're going to pay the whole amount up front. That allows us to get the equipment earlier. We can actually receive it April 1st, so it'll be in my office ready to install at the start of the summer, so we can get moving on that quickly. Also, I wasn't quite anticipating, but due to the way that Meraki, the vendor, has changed their licensing structure, we did need to renew our switch licensing for 3 years, so that it all ends together. They've changed it so that all of the licenses end at the same time, as opposed to some of them ending, early and some of them ending later. So if you'll remember, we replaced the switches a couple of summers ago, so that will extend this. So basically, everything will end 5 years from this summer. We did receive 9 bids through the E-rate program. We work with an E-rate consultant, so he helps us bid this out, and they post it wherever they post it. I don't really know where it gets posted, but I did receive 9 bids, and I actually had a few more trickle in after I did this bid matrix that's attached, which is a requirement of the program. So E-rate requires you to evaluate all of the vendors. There's not a whole lot of stipulations, but they do want price to be the majority of the factors. So you'll see on that bid matrix, there are other factors that we factored in as far as previous relationship with the vendor and how well it will work with our existing infrastructure. But CDW came in the lowest, and as a matter of fact, 5 or 6 years ago when Andy replaced access points, that's who got the bid as well. So we do have $165,000 earmarked in current improvement at Bel Air this morning. So
Yep.
that will cover the cost of this project, and then we'll get the kickback at the end of next school year to cover that 80%.
So one thing just to note, that 80% actually increased. We've been in the 60s, and then as soon as we moved to free breakfast and lunch for all students, and 100% of our students are considered economic disadvantage to the state, that actually increased that percent that we get back. So that's something just to
And
kind
the
of.
biggest discount percentage the state offers is 85 on
Yeah.
equipment, so.
So it's kind of a one more side benefit of making, moving with that decision, is that rebate, or that percent that we get back increased.
Any other questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
President, I move we approve the IT purchase access point through the E-rate program.
Mr. Kimmer's moved to approve. I will second that. Any further discussion or comments? Not, please call the roll.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer?
Yes.
Motion passed. 5.1, motion to approve a memorandum of understanding with Fairfield Union Education Association as presented. That was discussed by Mr. Belleville earlier. Does anybody have any questions about that? No, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mr. Smeltzer's moved to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. John, second the motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Smeltzer?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Motion passed. 5.22, motion to approve policy revisions as presented. This is the second reading. Opportunity to ask questions about these twice now, so this is the final reading. Entertain a motion to approve. Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister moved to approve. I have a second.
I'll
Second.
second.
Mrs. John, second the motion. Any further discussion? Not, please call the roll.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer?
Yes.
Motion passed. 5.23, contract, says motion to approve and ratify the contract with United Healthcare as presented.
So this actually, we have approved, or I should say the board has approved all financial aspects and all parts of this contract. However, in going back and looking through history, we discovered the contract itself was not approved. So just after kind of seeking what to do, this is what we've been advised to do, is to go back and relook at the contract and then approve the contract itself, even though we've approved all parts and pieces of it separately.
Any questions? Not, entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the ratified contract with United Healthcare.
Mr. Kimmer's moved to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Smeltzer, second the motion. Any further discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Motion passed. 5.24, number 26, 5-year forecast, assumption and notes.
Okay, so this is attached to the forecast, and then I have printed a paper copy for each of you. So what I would like to do tonight, and please stop me along the way if there's any questions, I am going to follow kind of the same structure that we have gone through in the past, where we flip to the back of just flip to the actual forecast itself. And then after that, I'll point out a few key highlights, and then there's a few additional pages in this forecast that are based on tax reform that I want to go into a little bit more detail in order to help explain some of the numbers. So like I said, stop me if you have any questions, but I will kind of walk us through. I felt the easiest way was, you'll see I've tabbed your pages 1, 2, 3, and 4, just to help draw your attention as to where I'll be speaking to. It's a lot of information, but when you see it, I contemplated having a second kind of PDF file, but I think it actually helps to see it in this format as we walk through. So, okay, so we are going to start with tab number 1 that is on page 28. So I will start off by saying this forecast actually changes in this forecast since it was the October forecast that I presented in September. We have not had a lot of changes to expenditures in this forecast, really just kind of updating and fine tuning some of the expenditures. The majority of this forecast is focused in revenue. Obviously, over the last, 8 months, we have talked a lot about the state budget, property tax reform, all the legislative updates. So at this point, this kind of compounds all of the updates, and I can help walk through that. So overall, at a high level, the two big things we're gonna focus on are property taxes and state funding. So the line 1.01 and then 1.035 and 1.04. That's where you're going to see the majority of the changes from the past. Overall, when we talk about property tax reform, you will see that we are losing some funding in property taxes from where we could have been. And then at the same side, we're losing funding in the state foundation payments because our taxes are increasing. So as local capacity increases and as our property values increase, the state offsets some of that with a decrease in state funding. So starting out, looking at line 1.01, you will see last year we actualized $6.1 million. This year, we're projecting $7 million, and then we will actually drop back down in 2027 to $6.6 million. I will get into some of the details as to how and why that is happening on these next few tabs, but I thought it was easier to kind of see it at a high level, and then I can explain how it's getting there. Income tax, we were up 4.7% last year. So far this year, we're trending up 5.4%, and then each year after, I have us hovering between 3.6 and 4%. So overall, we're kind of staying somewhat steady in income tax. Our income tax levy right now goes through 2036. So still, we still have a few years left of that. If you look down at lines 1.035 and 1.04, this is where you will start to see our state funding decrease. So again, as our property taxes have increased, state funding has started to decrease. So you will see, again, 2026 is up to 2025. We are coming in at 11.4 million in unrestricted and 1.9 in restricted. Then as you move forward, the balance 4 years, you will see each year it starts to decrease, and that's as our property taxes increase. As far as expenditures, like I said, there's not a lot of change in expenditures other than just, refining exactly where we're seeing our salaries come in, exactly where we're seeing benefits come in. We have not had any major shifts in strategy or anything in expenditures, except what I mentioned in the January financial overview. We are seeing an increase in some of our maintenance costs, just some maintenance around the district. We've talked a lot about our equipment and our buildings starting to age. So I do have a one-time increase in some of our supplies of $125,000 for this year in order to help offset some of that. I do have that going away because after this year, just because the thought is, okay, we'll get it fixed and then it'll last us again, for the next few years. Overall, other changes are down in other financing uses and transfers out. You will see we dropped this year down to $886,000. That's made up of a $500,000 transfer to PI, which we have been doing for the last few years, an $86,000 transfer to 034, which is our OFCC. That is our requirement that we have to do yearly. And then it's also a transfer of $300,000 into food services. That is, again, what we planned knowing we were going into CEP. One thing to note is you'll see that that 886 does increase to 936 next year and then hold steady after that. That is due to a $50,000 increase of projecting additional funding needing to go into food services. After talking to Diana Browning, we are actually going to continue, not just us, but overall, start to lose some federal funding that we have had, that everybody has had in the past. She's projecting about $50,000 decrease, so this will just help to offset that in addition to what we are already funding with the $300,000. All of that being said, that ends our 2026. We began the year at 7.6 million. We ended at 11.5. By the time we get to 2030, that is down to 9.4 million. And then in 2029 and in 2030, you will see we are deficit spending of 1.2 million and 2.3 million. Now, obviously, that is in the next state budget. So that is if tax reform continues as we are now, if the state funding continues as we are now, which there's been a lot of conversation on the Fair School Funding Plan and how schools are funded. that continues this formula, which at this point, they are not updating the formula. They're not updating base cost input, so how much it costs to educate a student. So based on that, this is where, we are seeing some of that deficit spending. I would think, as we go into we're in year one of the state budget. Next school year would be year two. I would hope that, we'll continue to see some changes, but this is planning if things were to stay as they are today, this is where we would be sitting with funding. Any questions on just the high level before I get into some of the tax reform details that I think will help explain those first few lines?
I assume you've had a conversation with Mr. Belleville about future personnel or like intervention specialists that we may need to increase based on ratios.
So this is holding everything as it is today, which is what we did in the last forecast as well. So this is holding our enrollment at 1,911 students, looking at overall birth rates and then how many people we have open enrollment. That 1911 stays steady, so this assumes that everything we have today stays steady. It's not adding anything, which is what we did in the fall forecast as well. So if we were to need to add something based on a specific need versus enrollment, it would be on top of this.
But you're communicating with Mr. Belleville, like say Chillers that we talked about, you're communicating with him with this forecast?
We have not gone through this forecast. We've talked overall through revenue. We've talked through revenue through all of the legislation, and that's really where this forecast focused. We didn't change anything in the expense piece of it from last forecast, so there were no changes since that last forecast in this. Okay.
So we don't foresee any changes in needs throughout the year, or?
We might. I would not project it. I would think based on our enrollment not increasing, we're actually down in enrollment. From an enrollment standpoint, I would think there may be some shifting, but I wouldn't think from an overall, we're not seeing enrollment growth.
We are seeing an increase in special education needs, but
Will that impact?
we're almost at the high school, we're going to be at our highest ratio we've been since I've been here. At our lower grade levels, we're getting real close to the mandated ratios for teacher to student.
Do we expect that to change yet this year? Will there be any, does that take a move in, or does that take?
Trends I've been seeing is our special ed numbers are increasing yearly. Just new enrollments, like new kindergartners. We're seeing more autistic needs, more high level, special education needs.
We've seen a lot of that increase actually in our ESC costs. We've seen a significant increase in our purchase service costs. I know Mr. Johns, we've worked a lot on just saying, okay, what makes sense and where, what's best for the student, what are those needs, where do they, how can we best serve that students? We have seen an increase in the purchase service piece of special ed.
Do we ever get any students diagnosed like mid-year, or is that typically at the beginning of the year?
Diagnosed mid-year is very small number, but it does happen. If teachers recommend testing, or parents request testing, we can add special ed numbers through the year, but that's usually pretty small.
Okay, if we want to jump into some of the property tax reform, go to your tab number 2, which is page 27. So overall, I think we recognize that there is some property tax reform that needs to take place, that has happened. We have seen property values increase over the years. That being said, I want to help break down what this forecast looks like and just what overall public schools in the state are facing. So the first piece of reform actually dates back to tax year 2023. You can see I've put some highlights in the forecast. Dating back to 2023, what is actually happening is if the property values within the district increase greater than the GDP, for the first few years, our people will receive a property tax credit. So you will see in 2023, we increased 30%. The GDP was 13%. So you will drop down and see down below, that's a $27,000 increase. Now, that is due because we only have 2% of our district that went through an increase. That is Perry County. So you will see when you jump over to 2025, that's 98.4%. So that's why that big difference is only creating a $27,000 decrease in taxpayers' credit. When you jump over to 2025, we just went through a 27.8% increase compared to the GDP that is allowed of 13.3%. That is generating, if you drop down below, a $764,000 taxpayer credit. So between tax years 23 and 25, our taxpayers will receive a $791,000 credit. That's already all built into this forecast. So all of these numbers are already included in here. So the first few years of the tax reform is basically going out in credits to our taxpayers. If you flip the page to number 3 on to page 28, you will see what then happens going forward. So tax year 2025, like I said before, we're at 27% increase versus 13% of the GDP. If you go down to the bottom, that's a $764,000 credit. That flows over into next year as well. And then as you get into tax year 27, this is where, now that we are increasing, if our increase is higher than that GDP, the county, the wording says the county shall decrease inside millage to help offset that. So instead of a taxpayer credit on the back end, the county will decrease our millage on the front end. So there's not as many taxes will go out. So, and therefore we don't receive them. So right now, there's kind of two pieces of reform. Right now is that taxpayers will receive a credit on their bills. Go forward, the county will decrease our inside millage to offset that, so they will not have as many taxes that go out. So that being said, we have been at the 20 mil floor for years. We have been at the 20 mil floor. Up until now, we were not allowed, nobody was allowed to go below that 20 mil floor. With tax reform, we are now allowed to go below in our inside millage. So you will see that 20 mils is now offset, and we drop to that 19.59 mils. That being said, that is where you can start to see some bigger increases in our property taxes that are collected. So you will see a decrease of the 1.4 in 28 and 1.4 in 29. So all in all, that total of the 25 through 29 is a decrease of almost $5.2 million in taxes. Now, when we were originally talking, we kept talking about 2.4 million. That was looking at just the next few years. So that still holds true. This is now just a longer looking forecast of the 5 years, which is where that 5.1 is coming. I want to be clear. What this means is that we are receiving $5.1 million less than what we could have received under the old legislation. So that is where that change is coming from. So if that's where, when you're looking at where we could have been had property taxes stayed with old legislation, this is where it would have been, is $5.2 million higher. So that's the difference in what we're looking at.
How'd you come up with the calculation, I mean, the 20 mil floor to 19.59, and I see it's in 28 and 29, I mean.
So what they're doing is they're saying by decreasing those mills, that essentially is the same as getting us down, that 17.3 that it was increasing, that gets us down to the 8%.
Oh.
So it's basically saying we are allowing you to increase as much as GDP. If you increase on top of that, we're just going to reduce your mills to get you down to that GDP.
Oh, okay.
So it's allowing you to increase, just not as much as you may have increased before.
Okay.
So instead of doing a taxpayer credit, they reduce the millage to bring you back down to that 8. So essentially, that 1.4 million is the difference between the 17% and the 8%. It's just bringing us down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
At one point, 19.59, I thought, why wouldn't it be 19.50, but now I see it.
Yeah,
They're,
it literally takes
yeah,
it as the
trying
exact
to
amount.
even it out.
Exactly,
Got it.
yep. If you flip to the next page, is page 29 with the tab number 4, I had mentioned at the beginning of it that we're actually kind of getting hit twice. The second piece of this is where our state funding is dropping. So the way the current formula works is as your local capacity increases, the state capacity decreases. So even though we are going through tax reform and not receiving as much as we would under old legislation, the state funding is also being hit and it is also decreasing. So we have not updated our base cost increase, which that's how much it costs to educate a student. The state has not updated what they give each district per student since 22. So 22 going into 23, it increased 12%. That was when I know there was a few forecasts that we were excited because we hadn't received an increase in a while. They went back and updated that base cost increase. You will see down at the bottom of the page that the base cost of what the state is giving for each student enrolled is about $8,200. Right now in 2026, you will see that our local share is about 53.7% and the state is funding at 46%. As we move out each year and as our property taxes increase, the state takes on a smaller percentage of that share. So by the time we get to fiscal 2030, instead of being at 53.7, we now are funding 69%. And the state is only funding about 31%. So that is where it's kind of two things happening at once. So we've had a lot of conversations on property tax reform, which is impacting us. And then on top of that, the current state, the state budget and how the foundation formula, the formula itself is not being funded how it was intended to be funded, since they're not increasing base costs. So then we are also getting hit with this. So it's kind of a two-part equation when you look at our total funding. Any
Help
questions?
me understand this a little bit better. So the rates that we're seeing, tax year 2023, 30.4%, and then 2025, 27.8%, that's increase in property tax revenue?
Increase, correct. Increase in property tax values, not necessarily revenue. It's an increase in the property tax value. So all the property taxes in our district now, here's the one thing. 2023, you can see it was only 2% of our district that was updated because it was just the Perry County percent. So that 30% looks high, but the impact to us is negative 27,000. Versus in 2025, we had Fairfield County and Hocking County go through reappraisal. And that's where property values increased 27%, but yet the GDP is only the 13%.
So I guess my question is, what did we project it at versus the 27.8%?
So I actually projected it, so when we have done our last few forecasts, I projected it around 9%, because there had been conversation saying, it can't sustain, what's going to happen if it continues to increase. So if you actually go back and look at my forecast from fall, the one I presented in September, and then forecast before that, I had it sitting around a 9 to like a 9.5% increase, because we kept saying, we're gonna hedge our bets, we think something is going to happen, so we only had it increasing 9. It actually came in at 27, but then they're offsetting it with tax reform.
So I guess my question is, our forecast was already projecting a lower cost. It's not like
Correct.
we're now losing the 1.4
Correct.
million. It's-
Exactly. And that was kind of where I wanted to say that 5.1 is what we could have received had property tax reform not have happened. But if you, and actually, I actually looked at this, hold on, I can, real quick. If you actually look at the one compared to the fall forecast, one second, let me open it. Total, I haven't double checked these, I ran this as exploring it myself, but I just want to make sure. Total property taxes, I'm not going to include fiscal 30 because that wasn't included before, is up $1 million for the 4 years, well, 5 years including 25. But if you look at state foundation, total for the same time frame, we're down 5.4 million. So what we weren't doing is it hit us harder on the state foundation side from a forecast to forecast standpoint. But what actually took some of the brunt of it was property taxes and state foundation. Yeah. Any other questions?
Seems a little disappointing to me, local share in fiscal year 2030, almost 70% to the state share,
It-
31%, 30.7.
Well, and the
Seems a little
reality is that
low.
our costs are to educate a student, I mean, on average, they're increasing in the not quite double digits, but high single digits each year. So when you look at
Yeah.
that, it's increasing and local share is taking on a higher percentage of it all around.
Pretty.
It's, and I understand
Here we
tax
are.
reform, I understand looking at it, I understand going back and saying, okay, how is this working, what does it mean? I think it's a matter of how is it impacting public schools and how is it impacting,
Yeah. Difficult to look at, in fiscal year 2026, a pill will swallow, 50/50, 53 to 46, but when you move out 4 years,
Yeah, it's a high percentage.
two-thirds
So ideally,
of the
what we
pill,
would
not
love to.
half the pill.
Yeah, what we would love to see is if what this would tell me is the current formula, it can't continue from a state foundation formula, because in my mind, with no base increases, that formula isn't working how it was intended. It was
Yeah.
intended to have those base cost increases. So without that, this is where you can see it starts to fall apart, because you're not increasing that base cost that is being funded. So that's one of the pieces, if we were to go out and say just from our side, that's one of the pieces that would be interesting to go out and say, okay, if you're going to continue this, we really need to try to fight for those base cost increases. Okay. Any other questions? One thing to keep in mind too is that we do have our PI levy that we went on the ballot in November of 2021. So all of that being said, 5 years out would be November 2026. So it's something I think that we do need to look. It's generating about $380,000 into PI yearly, and then we are funding that on top of that with that $500,000 transfer. So
How much is it generating?
about $380,000. It's a 3 mil levy, but the effective rate is about 0.8 mils, which is about $380,000. Any other questions? Okay.
Is that per year, I take it?
Yes, per year.
All right, any other questions, comments on the report? If not, entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the February 2026 five-year forecast assumptions and notes.
Mr. Kimmer's moved to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
So John, second the motion. Any further discussion? No, please call the roll.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zahnmeister?
You have listed here, you have listed here expenditures and stuff like that, do you not? Sorry, I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, do I have expenditures
Yeah,
listed?
you have all these,
Uh-huh,
okay. Can you go over it a little bit?
sure, sure. Is there one, and are you looking at a specific page I'm happy to walk through, or do you just want me to jump towards the?
Just jump first.
Okay, so if you go back to that tab 1 on page 23, if you look at our expenditures, we are seeing salaries, which is personnel services, coming in at 16 million this year. We're increasing just under about $1 million per year, and that's based on our percentage that's agreed, and then also the step increases. In employee benefits, we came in at $6.2 million last year, looking at $6.5 million this year. I will say we do have an additional $100,000 in severance planned this year because we do have quite a large group that could be eligible. So just in, not that we have heard that yet, but that based on years of service, they could be eligible. So employee benefits are all of our retirement, severance, insurance, all those kind of parts and pieces. Purchase services are coming in at $3.4 million. We're holding those relatively steady right now. Kind of when you look under the covers of what's happening with some of those, and I want to jump to that page because I can help you look at that. So basically, some of this is actually, a few years ago, the state formula started funding based on who's actually enrolled. So you started to see a bunch of shifts in purchase services because we used to have to essentially pay tuition to where students were open enrolled. That has shifted, and that's where you'll see some of those that now, instead of that money being transferred back and forth between districts, you get funded just based on who's enrolled, no matter if they're open enrolled or if they're your resident student. So that's some of the changes in purchase services. Supplies, not a lot of, again, not really no changes since the last forecast. You will see almost a $500,000 increase in 2027. That's a one increase for a math purchase. We are anticipating something around, we had science of reading last year, something around math. And then in addition to that, I have an increase in 2029. It is just when a lot of our curriculum licenses and supplies, they will need renewals. So working with Edie Schilling, that's just kind of the next time that we would see that one-time increase. And that is about it from an expense standpoint. Like I said, we did not have a lot of shifting in this forecast since the last forecast, really just refining some of those of where things are actually coming in from a month-to-month standpoint. Does that help? Are there any other questions?
Do you see any additions that you needed from an expenditure standpoint when you're looking at it as a superintendent?
I don't know what was included in potential extra things needed.
Really, I mean, the extra things are really just that math purchase and then the additional renewals in 2029. Those are things that are outside of our normal. We see a 2 to 3% yearly increase, on average, 2 to 3% increase in items. And then anything above and beyond that is where we will put in like a one-time offset expenditure, like I said, of that math purchase.
We're to assume that the transfers out that we made last year, those are playing in this, right?
They're out.
idle.
They're sitting in our capital improvement, which is in 070, which is why you would see that in 2025, you see 14.8 transferred.
Right.
Yeah, that is where that big, large transfer that we did before the fiscal year ended, that's where that's sitting.
to have a big expense, and Chad helped me out, I don't know. We've had boilers replaced, are there other items across the district that maintenance has brought to your attention that may be concerning, that I assume we could tap into that fund to pay for anything, but what is that anything?
I know at Pleasantville, we have repaired the two boilers there, but they are the original boilers. We will definitely have to replace those, I'm guessing, in the next couple of years. We're looking, I'm just estimating, I'm guessing $150,000 to $170,000 each for the boiler, based on what we paid for the two at Bremen last year before last. One of those boilers also at Rushville Middle School. We have three there, two have been in place. One is still original, and it's the same make and model as the two at Pleasantville. So you would expect it to start acting up because it's the same age. The only caveat to the one at the middle school is it did not work for the first about 10 years the building was open, so it hasn't had the load on it that the others had. You might get a little bit more time out of it, but I would definitely start planning for that. Roof issues at the high school, middle school, I would anticipate expenditures there.
We also have an activity center roof tentatively scheduled in our capital improvement, so.
So there are some things on the horizon that I would anticipate. Storage continues to be an issue district-wide, with maintenance it is also an issue. So whether it is adding on to the maintenance garage or some sort of storage sheds, at some point, I would anticipate the garage that is used for maintenance now that sits beside the old bus garage, I mean, it's seen its better days, but, so I mean, I would anticipate that some things like that could pop up on us.
Didn't we have some roof leaks? Was that ever addressed, or was that patched?
Patched.
So we do have a 5-year capital plan with placeholders out there, mainly using that, the money that we had transferred as well as our PI fund, and then anything that we can use our 034 OFCC fund. That's something that's original to the building. We always use that first because it's very limited in what we can use that on. So that's always kind of our, first fund of can we use it, because it's so restricted. And then outside of that, we do have plans for a lot of the items over the next 5 years. Typically spring is when we will sit down as teams and start having all of those conversations and say, okay, what are the changes that we've had since last time we had this conversation? What are, what's kind of still out there? We'll look at it by year and start to plan that out. So spring is when we will really start to say, okay, what changed since the last time we had those conversations? But we do have all those funds set aside in order to make sure we can do the planned items as well as the items like the boilers that tend to pop up that you weren't necessarily planning for this year, you were planning for it a few years in the future.
But some of those expenses are in with the forecast, or am I hearing you said that's all in the
No,
07 fund?
that is not general fund. Those type of large expenses are not general fund. That's a capital improvement plan that we'll sit down in spring and we go through for the next 5 years to say, okay, where are we seeing things out over the next 5 years? Which we can bring, we're more than happy to bring that. I'd have to go back and look at the date of the last board meeting we brought that to, but I'm more than happy to bring that, as we're looking at discussions, and just to say what are, after we get through these spring conversations, what are some of those big things that either have changed from last conversation, or we can push out or move forward, or whatever it may be. But those typically sit outside of general government.
to know those other improvements, where we're planning on pulling that from.
Sure.
Any other questions?
Okay, so I think I stopped with Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister, so we didn't fully get through, what item is this? 5.24. I stopped with Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister. Am I okay to keep going on those?
I assume we can finish out that vote.
I think, yeah.
Okay, Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister. So just to kind of recap, Mr. Kimmer put it in motion, Mrs. Johns seconded it. I then went to Mr. Kimmer and Mrs. Johns, and then we made it to Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister.
No,
Okay. Mr. Hoffman,
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer,
Yes.
Motion passed. Item 5.25. And that was the addendum. This motion to approve a long-term substitute teacher contract for Tyler McManus as high school math teacher beginning February 16, 2026 through the end of the 25-26 school year. A motion to approve.
So moved.
Schmelzer's moved to approve. I will second that. Any further discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Mr. Smeltzer.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister.
Yes.
Mrs. Johns.
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer.
Yes.
Motion passed. That moves us into executive session.
Mr. Hoffman, number one,
Number one.
yeah, I need to update the board on that,
Okay.
personnel matter.
Okay. Any others? Okay, this will be motion to adjourn the executive session in accordance with section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. No action taken after.
No action.
Okay. Motion.
I move to adjourn an executive session, Mr. President.
Mr. Kimmer's moved to regular executive session. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Conrad Zangmeister, second the motion. Please call the roll.
Mr. Kimmer.
Yes.
Mrs. Conrad Zangmeister.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mrs. Johns.
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer.
Yeah.